How does a democratically elected leader gradually accumulate sweeping executive power without abolishing elections? This is the story of Recep Tayyip Erdogan and how his rise reshaped the political system of Turkey. Our story begins in 1994. Erdogan is elected mayor of Istanbul, representing the Islamist Welfare Party. He governs effectively, improving infrastructure, tackling corruption, and building a loyal voter base. But in 1998, he is jailed for reciting a nationalist Islamist poem. He is banned from politics. Instead of ending his career, it strengthens his image as a victim of Turkey's secular elite. In 2001, after Islamist parties are banned, Erdogan helps found the Justice and Development Party, or AKP. The party brands itself as conservative democratic. In 2002, amid a major economic crisis, the AKP wins a landslide election, and Erdogan's national political dominance begins. At first, his government pushes reforms aimed at European Union membership, expanding civil liberties, and reducing military influence in politics. Historically, Turkey's military had acted as the guardian of secularism, intervening in politics multiple times. Weakening the military's role appears democratic, but it also removes one of the strongest institutional checks on civilian executive power. In 2007, constitutional reforms introduced direct presidential elections. In 2010, another referendum expands government influence over judicial appointments. These reforms are presented as democratization, but they also increase executive leverage over key institutions. This is the first phase of executive aggrandizement, gradual institutional change through legal means. In 2013, protests erupt over redevelopment plans at Gezi Park in Istanbul. The demonstrations spread nationwide. The government responds with force. Media pressure intensifies. Arrests increase. Polarization deepens. This moment marks a turning point, from gradual institutional change to more visible authoritarian tendencies. In 2014, Erdogan becomes Turkey's first directly elected president. The presidency is technically ceremonial, but Erdogan refuses to remain symbolic. He dominates cabinet meetings, shapes policy, and sidelines the prime minister. Then comes July 15th in 2016. A faction within the military attempts a coup. The attempt fails. Erdogan declares a state of emergency. The government blames the Gulen movement, led by cleric Fethullah Gulen. Mass purges follow. Tens of thousands of civil servants, judges, academics, and military officers are removed. Under emergency rule, Erdogan governs by decree. Parliament's role weakens dramatically. This crisis accelerates executive consolidation. In 2017, a narrow referendum fundamentally changes Turkey's political system. The parliamentary system is replaced with a presidential one. The office of prime minister is abolished. The president can now appoint ministers without parliamentary approval, influence judicial appointments, issue executive decrees, dissolve parliament. These powers are formal, constitutional, and legal. Executive aggrandizement is no longer gradual. It is institutionalized. In 2018, the new presidential system takes full effect. Erdogan is re-elected under expanded powers. Control over the media intensifies. Appointments to the central bank and judiciary reflect presidential dominance. Opposition parties still compete and occasionally win major cities like Istanbul. But critics argue the electoral playing field is uneven. Turkey still holds elections, but checks and balances have significantly weakened. Executive aggrandizement does not happen overnight. It doesn't always involve tanks in the streets. Instead, it unfolds through legal reforms, constitutional amendments, weakening of institutional checks, use of crises to justify expanded powers. Erdogan's political journey illustrates how democratic mandates can be used to centralize authority, gradually transforming a parliamentary democracy into a powerful presidential system. The key question is not whether elections exist. It is whether meaningful constraints on executive power remain.